Let's do this. The Cult of Hockey podcast by the faithful and for the faithful. I'm David Staples of the Edmonton Journal, and I'm here tonight with Bruce McCurdy. Hey, Bruce.
Hey, David, how you doing tonight?
Good. Real
You're
good.
lying.
Yeah, after the Oilers, there might have been a worse playoff game, maybe against LA, but I don't think so. That was the worst playoff game of the year for the Oilers. Man, I've graded a lot of the bad ones, Bruce. I think I've got one grade in the playoffs that I've graded. How are you
Oh
doing?
yeah. Did you get the 4-0 loss to LA as well as this one?
Oh, I don't know, probably. I can't
Probably.
remember.
Eh?
4-0
Uh,
Four nothing
yeah.
for the Avs of the Oilers, Bruce. The grade A shots were 16-7 for the Oilers. 16-7 for the Oilers.
For the Avalanche.
The Avalanche. I got
Yeah.
it working on my cold here, so I feel I have a bit of bright brain fog. 16-7 for the Avs, and the 5 alarm shots were 6-2 for the Avs. So, not good. So, Bruce, tonight is our two good things, two bad things, and two numbers podcast because it was really bad. We'll go with two bad things each. What is your good thing, Bruce?
Oh boy, I had to scratch and claw and dig and remember a long way back into that part of the game where the Oilers were competitive, but I've come up with the 3-on-5 penalty kill in the first period where the Oilers were 2 men down for, I think it was a minute 32. And not only were they 2 men down, but their ace 3-on-5 penalty killer, Leon Draisaitl, was one of the guys in the box, having been called. It was a sequence of events where Gabriel Landeskog hit Kyler Yamamoto with a high hit, and nothing got called. And then Leon got called slashing on the back check. And then Brett Kulak got called for trying to run Nathan MacKinnon into the boards. And they wound up 2 men short out of that. And they actually, even without Leon available to them, they managed to get the job done with really all the other centers, from Derek Ryan winning the faceoff right off the bat and getting the puck out, and Ryan Nugent Hopkins doing some good work for the lion's share of it, and then him getting off in a change and Ryan McLeod coming out at the end. The forwards on that sequence, and I'll talk more about the forwards later in this podcast, but on that sequence, I thought they did pretty good. They got one or two good saves from Mike Smith and one really good save from him right at the end of the 5-on-3 off a
On
Nathan
McKinnon.
MacKinnon drive.
Uh,
And otherwise, it was Colorado bobbled the puck a little bit, and they weren't like totally sharp on that power play either. But Edmonton getting through that, getting through with another penalty in the first period, and somehow coming out of it 0-0 after one period. It looked like they were in position to compete.
yeah, that was huge, Bruce. Those were two bad penalties. Like Draisaitl's penalty, come on, in the neutral zone, and then Kulak's penalty was a clear elbowing to the face.
Sure was.
Sure was. You can't. Anyway, so that was frustrating, but the penalty killing was extraordinary. Nugent Hopkins, in particular, I thought
Mm-hmm.
was really good. You need that high man to be so smart because it's all triggered from him what they can do and what they can't do. And I thought Nuge was outstanding, blocking passing lanes and directing them in certain places where they might just a little bit didn't want to go. And that's what it's all about on the 5-on-3. So good work by him. And Duncan Keith blocked one pass with his skate. Yeah, there was some good playing on that. And then, as you say, Smith came up with a monster save at the end of it. Bruce, my good thing is they're heading home, man.
Mm-hmm.
Last chance, Gas, game 3. If they can win game 3, it's 2-1. And then maybe win game 4, Avs, you can go with that idea. Avs won there 2 at home. Now it's time for the Oilers to win there 2 at home. Do I think that's going to happen? I do not. I do not. And I'll get into why later. I've been pretty
Mm-hmm.
bullish on the Oilers all year. This is not one of those moments for a number of reasons, mainly due to
Right.
injuries, honestly, to Draisaitl and Nurse. The
Mm-hmm.
Oilers to beat the Avs, I'm getting into it now. The Oilers to beat the Avs need to be fully healthy, I think. their top players need to be close to 100% health, and they're not right now, especially Darnell. So I'm not bullish on the home game, but I think they could win Game 3. I think they could come out and beat this team for one game at least, and then we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens after that. But I'm excited about Game 3 coming up. It's going to be worth watching, and I expect the Oilers to win the game, win Game 3. All right.
So they're coming home, but they're not coming home with their tails between their legs? Because it sure kind of looked like that at times in this game.
Well, Bruce, they were
beaten.
You get stomped like that for 3 goals, and the way those 3 goals were scored, the way those 3 goals were scored was particularly disheartening to the team, I think. And we'll get into this, but that's you've come back again. This team has come back again and again and again, but 3 goals in 2 minutes, and those particular goals, especially the first 2, which were horrendous goals against, should never have happened. And anyway, why don't I get into my bad thing, which
is, go for it. You're
Darnell
right there.
Nurse. It's Darnell Nurse. I'm right there. Listen, he is injured. Okay. Yeah. Now a lot of people, he is getting all kinds of. It's funny in the mainstream media, and on TV. Craig Simpson did mention at the end of the game that Nurse and Ceci had a rough game. And I didn't listen between periods. Maybe there was stuff between periods.
Right.
Because I was grading the games tonight. But there's not a lot of talk officially. But online, Nurse is just taking a kicking right now. And it's tough because he's injured. He has no explosive. He's got no jump. He can't. So what happens? And it happened on both these goals. He kicked off the sequence of pain on both of them. And the first one was really quick. The pain came fast. The second one was a little bit more delayed. But the first one, he just, out of nowhere, gives the puck away. On a play where if he had been healthy, both plays, if he had been healthy, he was free with the puck. He would have moved his feet. He would have got that puck up ice. He would have been attacking. That's Darnell Nurse. So on the first one, he gets the puck and he just kind of misses Ceci by about 3 or 4 feet with the pass. And goes right to the Avs player. I can't remember who shot it. Was it Kadri? Yeah, Kadri shot it, was it? And Lehkonen tips it in, right? It's it's just bang, bang. It happens all so fast.
Nobody's covering Lehkonen or Kadri. Well,
there's no recover. Like that turnover was so unexpected. Yeah. Everyone's out of position. You can't recover. It's hard to recover in hockey. You're in the train tracks. You're slotted into the ice. You can only move so fast. So that goal's happening once that turnover happens, just by chance, because Lehkonen was in the right spot to tip it, and the Oilers weren't in the right spot to block it. The next goal, though, is just as bad in some ways, because he goes back for the puck in his own zone. No one is there. He's the guy. He's got no one on him. He's retrieved the puck. No one is on Darnell Nurse. He's got to skate with the puck. He's got to make a good play. But because he has no jump and no oomph, he just meekly moves the puck around the boards to Ceci, who's got a guy right on him, and gets slammed into the boards. You can't make that pass. Darnell Nurse would never make that pass if he's healthy. So my bad thing isn't Darnell Nurse. It's Darnell Nurse's darn injury causing him to play like this. He's not. He is. In the last 2 games, he's gotten 2 both games. He's really hurting the team, and I don't know what you do about that. Like everyone's in playoff hockey, it's always suck it up, and it worked against Calgary and LA. The Avs aren't Calgary and LA.
Yeah.
When you make mistakes against the Avs, they make you pay for it fast, and that's what we're seeing in this series. Is any little mistake the Oilers make, they pay for it fast. The Oilers had very small margin of error in this series. Darnell Nurse playing at 30% and Leon Draisaitl at 60%, whatever he's at right now. That's making up that margin quite handily right now. And it's going to be difficult for the Oilers to come back in this series because of it. And it's a darn shame. It's really a shame that the Oilers aren't completely healthy right now. But that's how it works. That's how it goes.
Yeah, no, he's looking bad. And I wrote a long post about him last night, talking about how, he had equally terrible first game of the last series, and then he bounced back not too bad. Like I didn't think he played great, but he was
Yeah.
sort of played within himself. And I mean, the Oilers outscored the Flames 8-2 with him on the ice in the last 4 games. Well, so far in this series, was it 1-4 and 6 against? And it was 0-3 tonight, and all three of those minuses came in that 2 minute and 4 second span. Where the third one, we also had him culpable to the extent that he was the last guy back and couldn't cut out the 2-on-1 aerial pass from
A hard play, but yeah.
Kadri to Mikko Rantanen. I mean, good luck with that, right? Uh, and they took advantage of yet another Oilers mistake, and that mistake, at least you can't say that one originated off of Nurse's stick, but it was he was involved in that one as well. And the funny thing, like if you only looked at the stats, you'd say, well, geez, he had 6 shot attempts, most of any Oiler, actually, defenseman or forward. He had 3 hits, most of any defenseman. His high danger chances were, get this, 4 for the Oilers, 2 against. I mean, makes sense of that when they got 3 goals. And you might say, well, Smith maybe could have had one of those.
The Manson shot.
Shots.
Yeah,
Manson
I think he should have had the Manson shot.
But when it went sideways for Darnell, it went sideways in a hurry tonight, and he had one chance to create offense, and he tried to deke Pavel Francouz, and even there, to me, it was like his fast twitch explosiveness was not there. It was kind of a slow motion deke, and it looked like a fairly easy poke check by Francouz, and that was Edmonton's probably best chance in the whole night, or certainly one of maybe 2 or 3. I think there was a jam play in close by maybe Hyman early in the game.
Kane.
It was Kane. Yeah, that's right. And Francouz saved it right on the goal line, and so that was about that. And so yeah, he's struggling. He's hurt. I mean, in the post game, they asked Jay Woodcroft about him, and Jay said Darnell's giving us everything that he's got. And I thought, well, that's probably fair and accurate. And what he's got right now is just nowhere near enough. And the real strength of his game is absent. And of course, people are all over any kind of turnover or poor decision or anything like that. And I read some pretty cruel stuff, frankly, online today that disappointed me about this player and his, I guess, let's call it on-ice smarts. I'm so sick of the term hockey IQ, I'm not going to say it. And this is a guy who received the Bobby Smith Award in the OHL for Academic Player of the Year in 2013, and who's just recently nominated and will represent Edmonton as the finalist for the Lester Pearson Memorial Trophy. I'm just going to read this just to remind people what this guy is about while you're dumping on him. Nurse is an ambassador for free play for kids, which provides opportunities to participate in sports for children from marginalized communities, and Right to Play, which aims to empower kids through sports. In 2021, he created the Darnell Nurse Excellence Scholarship in partnership with St. Thomas More Catholic Secondary School, his alma mater in Hamilton, to award 2 scholarships each year to students pursuing post-secondary goals. So this is not a dumb guy. I mean, and education has been part of his thing, and it still is. And he's a classy guy right now. Is he struggling? Absolutely. Is he trying to play through something and help his team? Absolutely. Is it working? Absolutely not. Not in this series. But, just maybe retract the clause when you're commenting on his play. You and I can say his play has been poor without denigrating the guy. And I find that a little bit, as I say, disappointing.
Yeah, I don't read that. I haven't read that stuff, so I just stay away from it. I block people instantly who make personal comments that are really nasty. I have no time for it, Bruce. So, it is an interesting conundrum for Woodcroft. Like, his answer is,
Also,
it's almost like Darnell Nurse would have to say, "Listen, I need to sit a game. Like, I can't get it done. I'm not getting it done. I'm not myself." And we saw it mostly on the breakaway, I thought, in a way. Well, we saw it on the second goal. And by the way, on that second goal, he was not even the major culprit. I mean, Ryan lost the battle in the corner. Archibald was way out of position to
Yep.
cover Manson. Mike Smith is back in his net and lets Manson
Again.
beat him from up high. So Darnell Nurse in some ways was the least of the culprits
Yeah.
on that goal again. So I do want to make that clear. And on the third goal, Kane and Bouchard's pinching in there, crazy man, and Kane doesn't make the play at the blue line. And again, Nurse was the least of the culprits on the third.
Keith changes while the 2-on-1 is developing, and Darnell jumps over the boards after his 2 goals against shift, and the very first thing he faces, like within seconds,
Yeah,
is 2-on-1 against.
but
I'm going to dig into his game log, but I think he may personally have been on the ice for 3 goals in about 20 or 25 seconds. That was the game. It was over after that.
You really saw that lack of explosiveness on the breakaway. He didn't even move his feet. He just kind of cruised in there slowly. And then it looked like me on a breakaway in beer league. Like, that's how I get poke checked. You know, like it looks so bad because I'm so slow and I can't move. That's what it looked like to me, Bruce. It was horrible. It was really bad to see because he can't make the deke. He's not quick enough to make that quick deke. He doesn't have the quick feet. And it's funny because it's deceptive because sometimes he can get up to speed and get going in a straight line, but the explosiveness in the agility isn't there. So what do you do? What they're going to do is he's going to get it out another game and they're going to see what happens. But what you know, in an alternative universe where hockey players weren't crazy about playing with pain, they'd say, this guy can't. He can't go, and we're going to put in Chris Russell or Philip Robury, and we're going to see what happens. You know, the Oilers would have. Do I think the Oilers at this point would have a better chance of beating the Avs if that happened? Well, that's an interesting question, but part of me thinks yes. I think yes at this point. 2 games in a row like that, I don't see it getting any better. Now, of course, as you pointed out in your post, it did get better against the Flames. He did hang in there. This ain't the Flames.
Nope.
These are not like the defense of this team is so fast. They are so quick. You make one little mistake on the forecheck, and it's a 3-on-2.
Yeah.
The defenseman beats you, and he's up ice with 2 forwards. And then the defenseman, like, if you can't move, if you can't defend, they're going to get you. They're going to get you fast. What a great team the Colorado Avalanche are. I have to say that. They're everything I hoped the Oilers would have been this series. You know, they're just fast, dynamic, precise, deadly. They take advantage of your mistakes. They pound you when you make an error. Good for them. They're doing it to the Oilers, what the Oilers have done to other teams. And Nathan MacKinnon, wow, what a hockey player. Okay, Bruce, what's your bad thing?
Yeah, I'm going to paint with a really broad brush on this bad thing and refer to lack of discipline by the Oilers. And this is manifest in multiple ways. Let's start with the very first line change of the game. And I watch these because it's sometimes an indicator. Are your guys ready to go or not? And both Duncan Keith and Leon Draisaitl changed off from the middle of the ice. And all of a sudden, here's Devon Taves, a very good Colorado defenseman, but a defenseman roaring up the ice one-on-one against who? Ryan Nugent Hopkins, who's the only guy back. And Taves goes around Nuge like a hoop around the barrel, is how Howie Meeker would say. Walks right in, pounds an excellent shot. And Smith makes a good save, and Smith made a number of good saves in that first period. But that was a bad indicator. There was the line change before the third goal. I didn't like the line change where they took a too many men penalty because Puljujärvi played the puck and Cassian had already jumped on the ice early, and that wound up costing them the penalty. So line changes, that's one thing. Just backtracking and coverage. How many times, especially in the second period, after it was 3-0, and Edmonton thought, well, we better push for a goal or something. And it seemed like every time that they went down and generated nothing, which was pretty much every time, that Colorado would come out of the zone and it would be a 2-on-2, and then the next guy would join the play and he'd be wearing a purple shirt, and then the next guy would join the play and he'd be wearing a purple shirt, and it'd be a 4-on-2. or 2-on-1 or 3-on-2, or but odd man rush after odd man rush, and there was almost no Oilers forwards to be seen, and they just didn't have the two-way uh, activated in this game. The forwards were, and I mean they weren't doing anything the one way either. It was a brutal game, I thought, by the forward core in general. Um, but that was lack of discipline. And then the other part of lack of discipline, and some people might actually like this, but uh, penalties, tripping Yamamoto, slashing Draisaitl, elbowing Kulak, which was borderline headshot, team penalty for too many men on the ice, a team penalty for interference from the bench. That was Zach Cassian trying to grab Byram when he came into the bench, was knocked into the bench by Archibald. And they were lucky on that one that the refs evened it up. I thought that was probably should have just been the one penalty. Then Evander Kane took a pair of roughing penalties for going after Cale Makar. And I mean, checking Cale Makar was one of his objectives in this game, but illegally doing so. And again, the first one, I thought that was a borderline headshot. We'll see if anything comes out of that. And then finally, Nurse with a cross-checking penalty at the end, which was maybe a little bit more marginal, but that's a lot of undisciplined penalties. And
Yeah, yeah.
they wound up, I mean, 2 men short, because that's the time you want to take a run at Nathan MacKinnon in the corner. I mean, when you're penalty killing, maybe that's not the time. Maybe, pick some other spot. But they couldn't stay out of the box. They couldn't get their crap together on the backtrack, and they struggle to make a clean line change. I think that kind of covers lack of discipline in multiple areas, so I'll just leave it there.
They do make you pay, though. Man, they make you pay fast. All right.
Yes. Yeah, the defensemen really jump in. They got such mobile defensemen. Makar, Taves, Byram, he's been very impressive. You know what? I sure didn't like the shot he took at the 20-minute mark of the third period when he tried to take Mike Smith's head off with the one-timer. I thought that was a bit much.
What a jackass play that was.
Yeah, I mean, there's only 3 Oilers out there. That was one time I did want them to go after it, because that was, the game's over. You got it won. You don't take a slap shot at the other goal. Even if you're pissed off at the penalties the other team has taken, taking a slap shot at the goalie's head is a bit over the top, which is what it seemed like. Maybe he just,
I don't know if he was aiming there.
Timed the shot, but he sure put a high, hard one right at Smith's melon.
Even trying to score then is ridiculous. Like, I mean, he's a young guy, though, and they're full of...
Let's put the first unit out.
They're full of piss and vinegar young guys. So,
well, hopefully some of that piss and vinegar will serve to alert the Oilers that they need to anyway. And maybe I'm contradicting myself, because some of these penalties, some would say that's what that was the Oilers taking their pound of flesh before the end of the game.
Yeah. Okay, I guess I'm punching up because I'm picking on all 3 of the best players on the team. It's my bad thing. It's McDavid and Draisaitl. Leon didn't make one major contribution to a grade A shot all game long.
Not the power play one-timer?
Yeah, we didn't count that, Bruce. I just thought it was from such an angle.
Right.
And he didn't, often those shots are, but he's not shooting it like he usually shoots it. So it was from like both those things. We didn't count that one. Okay. And anyway, at even strength, like, you might marginally count that one. It would be very marginal if you ask me, and we didn't. But he didn't get it going on the attack at all. And I think he needs to play, because he's so slow right now. Like, he's not. When he plays with McDavid, it works, it looks like. So this is probably a coaching error, taking him away from McDavid. He can feed McDavid, play off McDavid's speed, and it works. It didn't work in game 1, so I can see why they were thinking of shaking it up. This didn't work at all. Wasn't even close to working. He had the bad line change in the first shift that led to the breakaway by Taves, or contributed to it. Not his night. And McDavid has been in 2 games in a row, Bruce. Ain't no way to say it, except the truth is Nathan McKinnon has outplayed Connor McDavid 2 games in a row, and it hasn't even been close.
Wasn't close tonight.
No,
First
it
game
wasn't.
was close.
Yeah, closer in the first game. McDavid was weak in his own end in the first game. But this game, just 3 contributions to grade A shots. 2 of them came early in the game on the same play where he set up Kane in the crease. Yeah, Connor was taken out of the game, and it reminds me somewhat of the Winnipeg series and against San Jose when he's playing Vlasic in 2017, Bruce. When he gets going against defensemen, I don't know who was out there against him, but Devon Taves comes to mind. When he gets going against these faster defensemen, that's who you want to have against Connor McDavid. They give him the most trouble. Morrissey and what's the DeMello in Winnipeg, Vlasic. You don't have to be a big guy. You just have to be really smart and positional, be able to move your feet, skate backwards. That's how you have the most success against Connor McDavid. And then the Avs were all over him. They're just checking so tightly. Their forwards are on him. McKinnon's on him. They're all Landeskog. They're all on him all the time. So he can't get much going on the attack. He just hasn't. He hasn't burst free at all. Man.
Again, he did in game 1. Yeah, he had 3 points, but tonight he had no points, and that's basically what he earned in this game. Just really had no threat. No threat.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. In the first game, he had his moments. Oh, for sure, he had his moments. I think he was in on 9 grade A shots. So this game, he was in on 3. So they actually tightened the noose around McDavid from the first game. Mm-hmm. So they were better this game at shutting him down. The Avs played the game that I hoped the Oilers were going to play. Just a really, really aggressive, tough, smart defensive hockey game. And they played it, not the Oilers. So that's why we have a 4-0 score. Bruce, what is your second bad thing?
Yeah, I'm going to single out the coaching and Jay Woodcroft. You mentioned one of the things I was going to highlight, but I'll mention it anyway, which was the decision to split up McDavid and Draisaitl, which did not work at all. And I looked at it right from the start, and I thought this is a last-minute wrinkle to try, and it didn't seem to be working, and yet it took a long time to really go away from it. So that was, he tried to do something and it didn't work. That's part of the thing. A bigger beef that I got is after the first goal by Colorado, and Edmonton's had trouble throughout, but especially in now games 1 and 2 of this series of goals being scored in rapid succession. Either Edmonton scores, but they give it right back, or worse, the other guys score, and then they score again. That's what happened here. And the decision to put out the 4th line in the immediate aftermath of that breakdown that led to the 1-0 goal quickly blew up in their face as that 4th line was immediately clobbered for a goal against in just 15 seconds. Where Derek Ryan lost the battle in the corner. Josh Archibald couldn't get out to the shooter. He got a full slap shot from just above the circles. And I just thought, I wasn't sure what the plan was there. Same thing happened last night. That line got out there and they got burned for a goal relatively shortly after an Edmonton goal. I mean, Josh Archibald in the playoffs, he's been on the ice for 14 high danger shots for the Oilers and 40 for the other team, like literally 3-1 against. The Oilers are getting crushed, and Derek Ryan's stats playing center on that line are not a lot better. And Zach Cassian, same general problem. And they got torched right away. And that once it was 2-0, this game was over. And there was no way back for Edmonton. Certainly after 3-0, there was no way back for Edmonton. I just thought there was just a couple of coaching errors. And I've had a lot of praise for Jay Woodcroft, and I absolutely think he is the man, and Dave Manson, going forward for the Edmonton Oilers. But I think for me to be doing my job, I have to be open to criticizing him when he has an off game, and I think that off game was tonight.
Indeed. Okay, let's do our numbers, Bruce.
Okay.
You got yours handy?
Oh, yeah, I sure do. My numbers are 12 to 11, and these are the shots on goal, where the 12 Edmonton forwards combined for 12 shots on goal here. We had 3 each from Draisaitl and Hyman to lead the team, 2 each from Kane and McDavid, 1 each from Puljujarvi and Yamamoto, and 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0 from the other 6 guys for a total of 12. Whereas for Colorado, Nathan MacKinnon alone had 11 shots. So one forward from Colorado very nearly outshot the entire 12 from the Oilers. And for the Oilers, the defensemen had half 12 of their 24 shots. And the forwards just didn't have it offensively. They didn't have it defensively. They didn't have it together.
Nathan MacKinnon, yeah. What a player.
He had a good game. And he was storming around, and he sure likes to shoot the puck. And, I mean, we saw it there. But 11 shots on net, none blocked. What does that tell you? So.
So my numbers, Bruce, are the grade A shot totals for the first 3 series.
Okay.
Against the Kings, the Oilers had 14.6 per game. The Kings had 11. Huge margin for the Oilers. The Kings were lucky to take that to 7 games. The Oilers were clearly the better team.
Mm-hmm.
In the next series against the Flames, 15-13 for the Oilers. Again, 2-goal grade A shot margin against the Flames. Oilers clearly the better team.
That's per game, right?
Per game.
13, yeah.
Correct. Okay. Both of those numbers were per game.
Yep.
Per game this series so far, 20 for the Avs. On average, 13.5 for the Oilers. 6.5 grade A shot margin, Bruce. The Oilers are getting stomped by this Avs team right now.
Mm-hmm.
And
they certainly got stomped tonight.
You know, they were the score flattered them somewhat, I think, in the last game. So, they're getting stomped, Bruce. That's what's happening.
4-0's a blowout. When you get 0, that's not flattering. That's more embarrassing. But
yeah,
I mean, once they competed early, they had 13 shots in the first period and 11 in the last 2. I think they had 8 after Colorado scored the 3 quick ones 6 minutes into the second. So there's 34 minutes left to play, and the Oilers had 8 chances, and by our count, they generated 1 grade A shot, the one by Nurse. And it was just like Colorado took a power pill or something. They're checking and back tracking and skating, and general defensive work was excellent, and the Oilers just kept running into a brick wall and kept trying to break through, and they just couldn't do it. I mean, 8 shots in 34 minutes when normally in that situation down 3-0, shot effects say the trailing team is going to start pumping pucks on the other team's net. Well, that never happened. And so, I mean, hats off to the Avalanche. They're a good team, and they played a very good game tonight. And Nazem Kadri, I thought, had an outstanding game. You know, their top players were a notch above Edmonton's top players, and their lower players were a notch above Edmonton's lower players. Like, I'm not sure. Is there an aspect of the game that you can look at tonight and say Edmonton was the better team?
Well, when it came to killing off 3-on-5 penalties.
Okay. Yeah,
Bruce,
Avs got 2 penalties in the whole game.
Yeah. After that 3-goal and 2-minute outburst, the Oilers just had 1 grade A shot. That was it. Yeah. Like, it was just not. They couldn't get it going on. Bruce, I think we've said enough about them in this game. Let's call it a night. Thanks, Bruce. Thank you for talking tonight.
Back at it Saturday. Thanks for listening, everyone.
And in the meantime, and in between times, this has been another edition of the Cult of Hockey podcast.